Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this special edition of Baobab Chats, where we'll be doing a review of the riots that occurred in South Africa this month. So, earlier this month, we witnessed a series of widespread unrest and violence across the country, particularly in the Gauteng province and KZN. This was sparked by the arrest and the imprisonment of the former president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, after defying the Constitutional Court. Although we cannot fully quantify the collateral damage that occurred, we know so far that we have lost more than 337 lives. We have lost more than 20 billion worth in properties. Our rand has fallen drastically over the beginning of from the beginning of this month, and this has caused immense and increased pressure on the vaccination program that is currently underway due to the coronavirus. So today in my panel, I've got my three colleagues who are going to help me to do this review and to analyze the state of the nation following these riots. I've got Lennon, Queen, and Steffi. Can you please introduce yourselves to the audience?
Okay, I'll go first. Good morning, South Africa, and to everyone across the world. I am Steffi Jagger, and I am an artist all the way from Johannesburg. I work within the TV industry as a videographer, a photographer, and graphic designer. And yeah, over to Lennon.
Thank you, Steffi. Good morning, everyone. My name is Lennon. I'm in Cape Town, South Africa, and yeah, it's good to be on the panel. It's been a long time. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Queen, and I am live from Cape Town this morning. I am originally from KZN, so this topic that we are talking about today, it kind of hits home in every way possible. Yeah. But yeah, for now, that's me. I'm Queen.
Okay, so South Africa has been nicknamed the protest capital of the world. We are known for protesting, like whatever we need, we'll protest, we'll voice out our concerns in every way possible. So this has been going on. It's not new. I know it stretches way back before apartheid, like during the 1970s, but we have witnessed that this has been increasing since 2004 due to many reasons, such as government corruption, service delivery, unemployment. But this particular one was so special because if you look at what started this, it was more of a political issue. But if you could look at the videos that were circulating, at the population that was protesting, you could see that 75% of these were youth, and they don't even know, they haven't voted, they don't even know any politics. They've got little knowledge about the politics of South Africa, but they were protesting, and it seemed as if what started as a political issue sparked something that was like underground. What are your feelings? What do you feel about this? What do you feel about this happening in the country? I'll start with you, Steffi.
Well, honestly speaking, it was initially a political thing, and that we know. And we know that the country itself has been having their issues with the government for a very long time. For years that we've been hearing that people have not really seen what democracy really is and stuff like that. And for someone like me who was born within the year democracy was born, I don't really know as well what democracy really is supposed to be because of the posters that we are sold, but the reality that we are living in is something different. But however, I do believe that the looting was also because of the empty promises that were made in everything. But it is something I do not condone because it is opportunistic. And we know that in South Africa, it has been something that has just been a go-to thing for people. A protest is supposed to be something you are fighting against a certain topic, not fighting against your fellow brothers and sisters, against business owners and stuff like that. It's got nothing to do with businesses in South Africa. But people see opportunities, criminals see opportunities, and they say, hey, if we go and protest, we cause a riot, and we can go out, we can attack shops, and nobody will know who it is because we all just going to do it. Because if one person does it, the next one's going to do it, and the next one's going to do it. So for me, I've just seen it as an opportunistic opportunity for people And I've been hearing that people are saying that no, people are hungry, but we're not seeing them take food. We're not seeing them take clothes. We are seeing them take inanimate objects that can't really feed them, they can't really house them. It is objects that are wants and not necessarily needs. So there's a whole big contradiction with that as well. And honestly, it did affect me directly, not my company per se, but I was unable to go to work for the past week, for last week, the whole of last week. I couldn't go because the buses and taxis and stuff couldn't operate. So obviously I was stuck in my house. I couldn't go anywhere. So that kind of affected my work. But yeah, it is not something that is good. I don't really think it's good for our country. It's extremely bad, honestly.
Thank you, Steffi. And pointing it out, you mentioned that this is an opportunity of something, of like things that have been going on within the people. So this is not fully about Jacob Zuma's arrest and imprisonment. So this has got maybe little contribution to this, but this is something that was waiting to happen. It's an opportunity that people saw to let themselves out and do what they wanted to do for their own personal gains. Over to you, Queen.
So yeah, so for me, I kind of have a slightly different view from Steffi, and
Mm,
I kind of feel like this was a storm in the making. It has always been brewing for years now. And I
because of
think
what?
what this looting and the
Mm,
inequality that we have in this country, I think it's just been one of those things that have been ignored. And I think the lockdowns kind of exacerbated everything, and they just made
yes,
things worse. People have become, and because and I think sometimes it's easy for us to speak from a point of privilege because we are not experiencing what those people are experiencing on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes I do get an opportunity to go into the townships, especially here in Cape Town, and you see that people literally live in a one room, and it's a whole family of about 6 people, and they live in a one room. And then that what the lockdowns do is that they force you to kind of look at your poverty each and every day. You stare at your poverty. There's not even a break. You don't even get a chance to break away from that poverty. You get to stare at it in the face each and every day. And most South Africa live below the poverty line. And so that means that they were hungry. So that means that this storm has been brewing for such a long time that when the former president got arrested, people actually were angry at that. But then obviously there's also elements of criminality that obviously criminals are now taking an opportunity. But really, people just saw an opportunity to go and get food for free. And I don't really blame them for doing that. And I cannot sit here where I'm in a warm apartment and I've got food every day and say those people were wrong. I don't know what goes on in their minds, and I don't know the kind of stuff that they are going through as a result of inequality in this country. And I think people are also just very tired of the empty promises from the ruling party, because they've had about 27 years to try and implement policies that will actually somewhat put us in a scale where we are actually at least a little bit equal. But we are seeing that people of color are the ones that are actually struggling more than before, like apartheid. Things have actually gotten worse. And each and every time they are being promised just before voting, they are being promised things. And unfortunately, it was just a volcano waiting to happen. Yes, it was triggered by the arrest of Zuma, but it was going to happen. It was inevitable that this was eventually going to happen. And just because they've put soldiers out there, they're not good. That's not sustainable. They need to come up with things that are with a plan that is going to put our people at a better space than what they are right now. Because what's going to happen when the soldiers go back to wherever they stay when there's no war or whatever. What's going to happen? People are still going to be living in abstract poverty, and the government is going to continue promising people to do the right thing, and they're not going to do the right thing, and we're going to have more riots, unfortunately. It is what it is.
Yeah. You know what? I love your honesty. You are so honest, and you are. This is an issue between the government and the people, and we are not here to take the side of any political party or any government.
Yeah.
But as an honest, being honest, like on an honest review, is that the answer? Violence, riots, is that the answer? Is there no sufficient communication between the government and the people? Is there not enough education or knowledge amongst the people on ways they can do, or ways they can, and means they can use to eradicate themselves from poverty, other than violence and rioting? And like comparing South Africa with other African countries, maybe like we are one of the top most developing countries. Like if we compare ourselves with Nigeria, Egypt, and Tunisia up there, we are one of the most developed, one of the most rapidly developing countries. So in Africa, I really think that it's not as bad. It's not as bad as it is compared to other African countries. At the same time, it is the government that is actually promising people these things before vote, so that they can get the people's support. So where is the gap now? Is it the communication between the government and the people? Is it lack of education? Before we answer that, over to you, Lennon. What do you feel? You are being discriminated. You are the only male here. You haven't spoken. We are about to go over to Steph again. Okay, over to you, Lennon, before you.
All right. Thank you so much, Tandy. I feel that these riots that were going on for the past 2 weeks, it was just some people who were just opportunistic. It had nothing to do with politics. Yes, of course, it came at a time where the former president was arrested. But look at it before he was arrested. Before they were trying to arrest him, there were peaceful marches. People were marching in a peaceful way. And now the question is, what changed? I mean, when he was arrested, this is part of the constitution. When someone defies the courts, I mean, you're gonna be arrested. And there are ways to air your concerns. That's why there is political leaders who lead us in our communities, through the parliament, and whatever we need, we go to them. But these happenings that happened for the past 3 weeks, it was just people who were opportunistics. I mean, I'll give an example. Okay, if like what Queen said, that the people are hungry. Yes, I understand. I mean, why didn't they loot the only food? I mean, I could see some people looting coffins. What are you going to do with a coffin? So it's one of those things where, yeah. And there was another video where a guy with a very small car was checking a big screen TV, like an 85-inch. I mean, for me, some people who were just opportunistic, because I mean, if it was hunger, yes, I mean, we could have seen ShopRite, Pick and Pay checkers being looted only. And also, if you noticed, when this was happening, there were pictures or videos of some bookstores. Bookstores were never looted. I mean, which means they didn't see value in books. I mean, they just wanted some things, material things that they can either use, or the food they can eat. So for me, it wasn't about the former president's arrest. It was just people who were opportunistics, because the time was convenient for these things to happen. Yes, it was bound to happen, but not in the manner that it happened. At the end of the day, the people who looted are the same people who are looking for jobs. I mean, the same company that you're looting from, that's the same company that you're going to look for a job tomorrow. And where you're going to get it? So it brings us deeper into the mess. Because for me, I mean, talking from experience, where I'm coming from, when the lootings happened, that's where everyone just went south. So, because, I mean, once you loot, it will take time to recover. And when the time to recover, it's going to be long. So, at the end of the day, it's just people who are opportunistic. They just want to get these things, and they don't think when they're doing things. Another example is, I mean, there's a couple who had like a very beautiful couch. It was a big couch, and they were staying in a very small house, and it couldn't fit. Now they had to put it
The
out
blue house.
there, you know. So all I'm saying is, I mean, yes, the lootings were bound to happen, but not in a manner not in a manner how it happened. I would have loved to see only food stores being looted. Then we know that people are hungry. But this was just an outrageous thing. People were just wanted to destroy things, not even thinking twice what's going to happen tomorrow. Because as we speak now, the same people are being sent food to help them, because I mean there's nowhere to buy. The shops are not willing to open, because I mean they say if we open tomorrow, we restock our shelves and our stores, and then the people come back again. It's better we stay closed for a while and then we come back. That is my views on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Lennon, for raising. It seems a lady from the comment section recognizes the couch. Is even commenting that it was 70,000 couch. And imagine, I saw they were like tired. I think they carried it on their heads or they pushed something, because they looked tired and exhausted. They needed some energy drink. And I'm like, I was laughing that day. And Herbert also there in the comment section is saying that, what if I wanted to sell the goods? So this is obviously for personal gains, like Queen and Steffi pointed out, that it has got nothing absolutely to do with politics. And I'm glad there that we share this common view.
Sorry,
Talking about
I just want to jump in there on Herbert's question. What if they wanted to sell the goods? I mean, okay, obviously, who were they going to sell it to? Because I mean, everyone
has got a fridge, and
everyone's got a fridge.
Did you guys see that guy who was driving the lift home? That forklift home, like with the TV, and there's this other guy who was eating a cake, and he was dancing, holding a Kaiser Chiefs umbrella, and there was this other guy also. He took the washing machine, and he was inside the washing machine, like rolling in there, and he was enjoying the music inside the washing machine. I mean, it defeats the purpose of poverty, like we are saying it's good. So this is like a chain of events. This is like a chain of bored people. Maybe we are just bored because of COVID. Like Queen pointed out, we are facing it every day. We are in the house. We are tired.
Guys, like, I think we will never really truly understand what goes on in people's minds. Especially idle people, because like I said, some people were looting because they were hungry, and obviously there's an opportunity for criminality when such things happen. But all I'm saying is that sometimes even during apartheid, I had a privilege of growing up in apartheid. When people wanted to be heard, they needed to burn stuff. And unfortunately, people want to be heard. And this was an opportunity for them to be heard. Whether we are sitting here viewing it as what you're going to do with the couch, what you're going to do with that. But they have sent a very strong message that you guys are not you're not coming to the party. Because if those people that were looting had jobs, for example, if those people their companies were opened, if churches were opened, if things were operating to some normality, nobody would have had time to go and loot. But this looting shows us that people are idle. They've got nothing to do. They are idle. They've got nothing to do. And so this was an opportunity for us, or for the government, to see that actually people are just sitting at home and waiting for any opportunity to come. Now let's use this and turn this around. And for me, I don't see this as and I know that economists, they say the economy has lost what. But we can also just go back to the point that the president has been doing unconstitutional lockdowns. Actually, he's the one who's been squeezing this economy. So for me, these incidences just showed us a lot of things, that we need to start rebuilding this country, and actually being intentionally so, and making sure that we are involving people on the ground. Because If those people had so much time to go looting, that means that there is a problem there. And I think these riots have actually created opportunities more than anything. We can now start to think that what can we do to actually help our people so that they are not just sitting there waiting for an opportunity to commit crime. And we can sit here and say we don't understand why a person was taking a big screen. You know what? You live opposite a mall, and every time you are just seeing a TV there and you do not have a TV. Guys, we have TVs. We know we're sitting on couches. Some people don't have all of those things. Yes, they went there and they were hungry, going to get groceries. But hey, you know what? There's a big screen as well. I might as well just grab it, whether it's going to fit or not.
Or not.
It's another story altogether. But you
Exactly.
know what?
But
It was
can
an
I jump in?
opportunity.
Can I jump in?
And
And
there's
honestly speaking, it's not all people who are just sitting idle at home. I've seen Fortuners going to go loot. I've seen BMWs going to loot. I've seen Range Rovers going to loot. So it's not a matter of people are just sitting idle at home. These are also people leaving work and being like, "Hey, let me go and get something." I mean, there
Hence,
was
I
even a
just yeah,
CEO
for
of
the
a
sake of it.
company there was even a CEO of a company that was fired because he was caught looting as well. So it's like we can't just say it's just the poor people. It's just that, look, at the end of the day as well, I also come from poverty. I also come from a township. I'm not sitting in privilege and just judging people looking at what's happening. I come from that lifestyle. I know what it's like to go to bed hungry, to not have food, to not have clothes and stuff like that. But one thing my parents always taught me is that you work hard. That is the only thing you need to do because we can't feel entitled to other people's things. Yes, I know our war is with the government, but it is not with my neighbor. It is not with the shop owner because now you are also affecting people who are supposed to be with you in the situation. But now what you are doing is you go into your neighbor, you're destroying their property, you're taking their food and stuff like that, and then tomorrow you want to be like, oh, but we're all in the same boat. No, we're not all in the same boat because now you are affecting other people's lives and you're just adding to the already high unemployment rate. I mean, I saw a video of a house tuck shop that people always
yeah,
go to buy from. And people
Exactly.
came and
You
people
did that.
were breaking the gates and stuff. And people were like, the owners of the tuck shop were like, but guys, why you come here every day to buy? Why you're doing this to us? So
Why
it's
are you
not a matter
doing this?
of,
And
oh,
you
I
know
see
the
you got better
problem.
eyes. No, I'm just greedy. I'm entitled. And I'm not saying that's every single person, but I'm saying is we are doing this with a sense of entitlement. We are doing this with a sense
Mhm,
of greediness because we are not thinking
mhm.
about the next person. We are not thinking that this is actually going to affect not just myself, but it's going to definitely
Exactly.
affect my neighbor as well. The innocent person who sat at home and said, you know what, I'm not going to get involved in this nonsense. I mean, I've also been in situations where I could not afford things. I've been into shops, I've seen the most expensive stuff. But the thing is, I never said, you know what, let me come and loot, let me come and steal, because I know that I need to work to look after myself. It is nobody else's responsibility to look after me but mine alone. And
True.
I think also the
True.
problem with that is that because the government has made so many promises over the years, people have sat on their promises and have held onto it that much that they did not feel the need to actually work extra hard to get to where they
So
actually want to be.
easily
So they're waiting for
they wait.
27 years of democracy, waiting for a house, waiting for a job, waiting for a car, waiting for a bunch of things. But we also, as people, need to be like, I need to stand up. I need to stop depending on the government and I need to
And the
find a way
government,
to
yes.
provide for myself and my family.
I was laughing at this other comment, Steph. You just made me remember. It was like in South Africa is the only country where if you want a house, you don't have to wait for it. You just have to wait for it. So if you're just waiting, like you mentioned, you know the government is gonna deliver anyway. You just need your patience, not any education or not any skill. And a common theme that is emerging from our discussion and from the comment section is pointed out by Stan is saying that it's all because of inequality, poverty, and unemployment. There seems to be a huge gap between the rich and the poor in South Africa. And what we are experiencing is having a government that is promising people these things and not actually explaining or educating people on how they can better improve, use themselves to improve their situations, other than waiting for the government. And also, Paul, there you were speaking about democracy, to say it's all about democracy in Africa. We don't have that much democracy, but like we mentioned earlier, that South Africa, having these reviews, having these things shown on the national broadcasting, is somehow somewhat a sense of democracy that we have. Like in other countries, for example, the media is controlled by the government. You don't show this stuff on TV. You have to protect it. It uses media as a propaganda. So in South Africa, at least the media has that freedom to go out there and show what is happening exactly on the ground, as compared to other African countries. And you also had a point, an interesting view from Taiwo there, to say, Taiwo in Nigeria, to say this same protest happens also in their country, Nigeria. So this is not regional; it's a common practice within the African continent, to protest and to loot and to destroy. But that is not the answer. That is not the answer. Like what Steffi, you were mentioning, that it's all because of like you mentioned, that you go to a tuck shop that you normally buy and you destroy it. So this has got nothing to do with poverty, or this has got because if you load a 2 liter cooking oil, by next week it's going to be finished, and that is not going to be an answer to your poverty.
But
You
you
need
have, but
a higher
it's
level.
gonna, Tiny, but it's an answer. It's an answer for that night, guys. The thing is, you
And then
cannot always
tomorrow,
stomach. It's not the thing is, sometimes I think we sit here and we think, and I'm not talking about all the looters. A poor person is not thinking about next week. They're just thinking about today, that I need to eat. A poor people is not
yes,
thinking about investments. They're not. They're not
exactly.
in
We
that
have
wave. They're not in that wavelength.
we have taken the
And the thing
animal.
is,
Yeah,
yeah, and the thing is, and I understand what everyone is saying, and that's why I keep on going back, that there was opportunities of criminality, but inequality, unemployment, and all of that. And to say that people in South Africa uh, are entitled and that they are waiting for the government to give them stuff. You know how many youth unemployment do we have? Graduates, by the way. People who their parents are domestic workers have taken them through to varsity with the hope that these people are going to be the game changers in the family. And when they are done studying and they've got those degrees, they are actually sitting at home doing absolutely nothing. They are applying day in and day out. They are coming up with business proposals and they are taking them to the government. And every door is getting shut because of the policies and the systems of this country. Because in as much as we've got a democracy, but we do not have policies that actually empower the young people to have an opportunity to actually fight fair, to have access in the economy. And so for us to sit here and say, oh yeah, people are just entitled and waiting for the government to do things, I feel that it's a little bit unfair, because people are studying, people are coming up with stuff, but the opportunities are not there. They are just not there. For me,
I
so
think also, I think it
and I
depends
think,
on where we're
and I
looking.
think that is why I said this actually has given the government an opportunity to relook and to rethink, that even now that people have burnt structures and that malls have been looted, how can we then rebuild? And I think that's the kind of conversations that we need to start having, to say, oh, how can we get the people of color or the previously disadvantaged involved? I'm gonna even speak about a little bit. Here in Cape Town, we currently have taxi violence.
exactly.
Taxi violence is affecting who? Who are the people that have been killed during taxi violence? Then right now
It's the
they've come up
ordinary
with a
people.
decision that they're gonna close that route. Who are the people that use taxis? I've never, in my years of using taxis, I've never seen white people in a taxi. I've
No,
never.
it's us. Yeah.
It's the black people, it's the colored community that is going to be left. It's the black people that are dying, that are coming out of windows, running away from people that are, and we cannot sit here and say that no, people are not doing, people are trying. But the system, we are fighting a system that is not pro-black, that is not pro-colored, a system that is okay to say we are a rainbow nation, we leave everything as easy. You guys, why are you complaining? Because they don't understand that people live in shacks, people live in abstract poverty. They don't understand that the youth is actually suffering with anxiety, with depression, because they're not getting any jobs. And then we can then sit here and say people no, they're not doing enough. People are doing enough. It's just that they are not voicing. There are no platforms where people can actually voice to say, hey, I've been looking for a job for 6 years. I've actually been trying to come up with businesses for 6 years, and there's nothing. And the government is doing nothing. And so if an opportunity comes for people to riot, they're going to riot proper. Unfortunately,
But
exactly. And you
come in there, Tandy. I just want to come with the point, Queen's point. The challenge we are having is, I'll start with one: the taxi violence. The guys who are doing taxis or operating taxis, black and colored people, 99%, and the violence is going on between them. It's got nothing to do with other races. Between them, the leadership for the taxi associations, they're all most of them are all black and colored, and so I'm not so sure why they are fighting each other when they know that their bread and butter for everyone. This is their opportunity to work. Yes, I understand there are some problems with the routes and everything, but it's amongst us blacks. Why are we not fighting on our own for routes where we know that, I mean, okay, now the government is saying, okay, we're going to stop for 2 months. It's the government, it's our leadership that are saying, okay, we're going to stop it for 2 months. And so what I'm saying is the foundation where it started, I think it's wrong, because at the end of the day, we are waiting for the government to give us the direction where we can actually do this and resolve it on our own without waiting for the government to intervene. Because at the end of the day, we are killing each other for the things that we want the government to do for us. Instead of sitting down and amongst us and saying,
it's like we are two brothers. It's like we are two brothers. We are angry with our neighbor, then we attack the neighbor. We shoot ourselves in the foot because we are angry with the neighbor. And then at the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's us who are going to suffer the consequences. Like you saw people ban buses that they need to use tomorrow to go to work, and at the end of the day, they're gonna come up with their reasons of why they want to protest again for service delivery, but not taking the government side. I mean, from apartheid, from 94, we have seen a lot of progress. We don't want to, I know it's not a perfect type of government that delivers everything, but we have seen a lot of progress in all sectors. Mention communication, mining, everything. And the youth, the government has been doing so much to empower the youth. Like there's this program that has been going on. It's called Yes for Youth Empowerment. It has been going on since 2018, and the government has approached big companies like Samsung, and they were giving these youths opportunities to work, like those that are just finishing matric without any qualifications, without any other post matric qualifications or any experience. So they were using it. They are still doing it. Actually, they are still doing it. They are using it as an opportunity for matriculants to get experience before they get into the industries itself. And it also gives the youth an opportunity to experience and explore different industries. Maybe you think you are going to do well in communications, you come to MTN, you think, no, this is not my thing, and then you go to ABSA. So it's also a learning opportunity for the youth. So I'm saying I'm not taking the government side that is doing everything, because I know no government is perfect. And looking at what has been happening, we know that the government has been promising and giving false promises, but there are opportunities that are out there, although they are limited. Where is the gap between the government and the youth? Is it a communication thing, or is it just lack of resources to implement these promises? Because I mean, like, compared to the past, we now have social media. The government has got so many pages on Twitter, the president's page. There's so many communication about these things. So where are we getting it wrong now? We have got so many channels of communication, yet we are still fighting the government. So is it a communication gap? And the point that you mentioned, Queen, to say when someone is hungry, they don't think about tomorrow. So we have taken this animal approach to say whatever I can get now, whatever I can get my hands onto, I'm gonna get for my own personal gain. And also looking at this on a higher level, we know that Zweli Mkhize has been suspended because of corruption of the digital vibes issue. So looking at it, no one is perfect here. Even the government itself, the government officials that have been entrusted with these funds, they are looting. So if
Goes
I
from the
look
top to the
at talk
bottom.
shop, it doesn't mean that this is the only talk shop that I have access to. So Elim kids have got access to millions. I don't have access to millions. He can access those millions and use it on the digital vibes. I heard that he's refunding it. He's gonna refund it. So even though he took what he had access to, and I don't have access to that, I have access to my small talk shop. So that's what I'm gonna attack. So where is the communication break?
Can I
What
hold you
can
on,
we do?
Jandy, sorry. I just want to hold you on there. What I want to say is, yes, we know the government is looting, okay? I mean, the government is also looting. And we as the people,
Looting.
okay, when we want to express our concerns, why can't we team up together and go to the government offices and do our thing there? Because at the end of the day, Queen is got a tax shop. Queen is also
What do you mean, Lennon?
underprivileged. Queen is also underprivileged. But we're going to Queen's tax shop and we know exactly where the source is, where it's all coming from. Why can't we team up, Queen, with your tax shop, with your people, with your workers? Come, let's go. And go.
I agree with
Let's
Lennon.
go.
Yeah.
Because you know what, if I have beef with you, Tandiwe, I'm not gonna go and fight with Queen and break down Queen because I'm angry with you, because my problem is not gonna get sorted out. So me fighting with my neighbor and trying to go and loot my neighbor is not gonna get the government to come to me and solve my issue. So the thing is, we know where the union buildings are, we know where Lutuli House is, we know where all of these organizations are. We can just Google it also. Why don't we step together and go there? We go and fight them in their place, in their territory. Now we're fighting amongst each other. I mean, in the apartheid, I mean, I never grew up in apartheid, but when looking at documentaries and stuff, when people were protesting, they went and they protested in the streets, but they walked together in unity, going to where they needed to be, going to the source. You don't come and fight here at my house, but I expect you over there to come and fix my problem over here. That is not how we do it. We know where these places are. So what is the excuse? Why are we not going there?
Yeah. No, like, look, I
Which
agree
communication?
yeah, they
Okay,
should.
which
I mean, the people.
communication channels, Tefi, do you think we must use? You said you must go to the government, and I mentioned earlier that this is a digital era where we've got so much communication channels. So, what must we do to be heard? Like now, they locked us down inside the houses. They said you mustn't go anywhere. We mustn't even drink beer. So we are very sober. We know what we are doing. We know what we are doing. Which communication channels can we use to communicate with this government? Are they hearing the concerns even, or it's not going anywhere? It's being blocked? Queen, over to you.
Listen. You know what, guys? So, like, for example, I'm gonna speak about KZN because I'm from there.
Mm,
So,
mm.
for example, in December, I was home. I got to be home for like a month and a half until Jan. In my community where I'm from, in some days we wouldn't have water. And the water would come back and the water would have diesel. Okay. And then while we are still like just amazed by that, then it's gone again. And then if they want to switch off the electricity, they can just switch off the electricity. Mind you, we are paying rates, right? So, I mean, to the point of the government, people have been complaining for years. I mean, my mom, like currently, she didn't have water for straight 5 days. At some point, she had to go look for like a river so that they can try. And no one was even bringing water with the water tanks. They had to go to some river to go get water so that they are able to flush the toilet. And then they have to try and gather money to go and buy drinking water. So these are the problems that people have on the ground, over and above the unemployment and the what. The municipalities are not even doing basic service deliveries. So
is it because of resources, Queen? What is causing this?
I hear you. So I'm going to your point where you were saying that the government is doing such and such. They are opening opportunities at MTN and things like that. But I'm just saying that where the actual people are in the communities, the government can't even deliver water and electricity on a daily basis. And those are basic human needs. They can't even take care of where people are living. People are living in dumps on a daily basis. That's one way where employment can be created, right? Because we do have graduates that are capable of doing those things that they are supposed to be delivering. So this monster that we are dealing with, that we were dealing with, and that we were seeing last week, it's layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of different things that have been happening. Yes, we've got social media, and yes, we have those opportunities. We have BE, what. But the real question is it enough? Because we cannot also just say, oh, these people were doing this. Yes, there's an element of criminality, entitlement, all of those things that we have spoken about. But let's also be honest and be realistic of the fact that there's too much inequality. There's a big gap that needs to be narrowed down. And so the conversations really that we should be having is, how are we going to breach those gaps? Because we can sit here and point that it is wrong, they shouldn't have done that, but we know that the core of this thing, it's the inequality, it's the unemployment, it's the poor service delivery, it's the actual government that has been looting for 27 full years, non-stop.
Can I jump in there?
And you can only like when
Queen is really angry.
When
I can tell you, if she was in KZN, she was gonna join.
It festers when a soul is not being treated right. It becomes septic and it rots. And that's what's happening in this country, is that there's a soul that we've been ignoring, called inequality, called unemployment, called whatever you want to call it. And right now it's at that very core, and it's now so septic that people have had enough. And
can I jump in there with you, Queen?
Yeah, yes, Stephanie.
I agree, and like I saw a comment from Willie. It's like years of frustration. You're just gonna find any trigger to lash it out, because it's been years and years building up. But I've been having discussions with different people at various times, and we were busy saying, like, why is it that the same government people are complaining against is still in power and is still ill-treating the people of this country? And yet you still come and find that those same people who are turning around and complaining about the very same government are the very same ones who go back and vote for them again. Why do you keep giving them power? Who are you trying to be faithful to? Because now you keep on complaining government, but we are still giving them so much power. Why do we not take our power and our support away and weaken their power over us? I mean, I saw a time in South Africa where there was coalitions that were forced to be formed. And I feel like if we're not going to force them to work together, then we cannot also sit and complain against the same government we keep putting in power all the time.
Yeah, no,
exactly, Steffi. You know what I want you to do?
I agree. I agree with you, Steffi. Sorry, I agree. But I agree with you 100%. And we should vote correctly. But the people with the votes are the people that are getting the grant. Those are the people with the vote. Is the people that are not educated about politics, and there's also that element of, if we don't vote the ANC, then we vote the DA, then we back in apartheid. So there needs to be education around the fact that even if you don't vote the ANC, you will still get your grant.
You still
and
get
our
the
people,
same,
people don't know that. So they think that we need to keep this
true.
government in power so that we can continue getting our grants, because 20 million South Africans actually don't even vote because they don't know who to vote. But the people who are voting are those people that the government is dangling a carrot of, oh, I'm going to give you 400 Rand every time you have a child. I'm going to give you this. Those are the people that are putting them back in power. So that's what we need to address.
Exactly. And you know, the irony of this story is that Zuma is being charged of corruption. We are complaining that the government is not doing enough, it's corrupt. So now we are fighting that they arrested a corrupt former president.
But
Can't you see the irony there?
We are fighting a system.
Yes, I know he was arrested for defying the Constitutional Court. But the root of the cause of why he defied the Constitutional Court, it goes back to the corruption. So yeah, I know African countries have got this, especially African political parties that fought for the liberation of a country, like probably ZANU-PF and ANC. They were the 4 leaders of independence of their countries. And after apartheid, after independence, they tried to personalize democracy to their own party, to say, if you want to be democratic, then you have to support ANC because it's meant for black people. Then they take that democracy and put it, like they personalize Nelson Mandela. They personalize everything such that you are now scared to vote for DA because you think you're selling out to the whites and you are not being a patriotic individual. So they tend to personalize this democracy. We are stuck with these communities, and these are the same leaders that we vote into power. We vote for these people. We are shooting ourselves in the foot. So where is the answer, Steffi? Lennon, let me go to Lennon.
I'm so sorry.
I think because I'm the only man here. Okay, but anyway.
Inequality.
my thing is,
you know what? Lennon, what I wanted to say is, with regarding inequalities, if you look at the population of black versus whites in South Africa, I mean, the black people, we constitute the majority of the population. So obviously, when we are quantifying unemployment, we're gonna be so many black people unemployed because naturally we are in our home. If you go to America, if they're measuring unemployment, you see that there are also white people that are not employed. So I think it has got the effect that we are already at home. And South Africa as well, as a rainbow nation, imagine we are accommodating everyone from Africa and they're coming here. So, and with this, if you can look at the looting that was happening, it was mostly urban areas. And you can see that there's a serious migration of rural to urban. So those people that are occupying the urban spaces, and everyone who's coming from all over in Africa is also coming to occupy the same space. So is it that the government is so strained that we have enough resources? Lennon, you can answer now all your questions. You can give us all your answers.
Thank you, Tanji. I'll start with the challenge. The biggest challenge that we are having now in terms of our political leaders is that whenever we go for voting, they bring this, that you know what happened in apartheid. You don't want to go back there. You know, so
yes,
it's kind of, it makes people scared. I mean, and then we vote for them, and then at the end of the day, after 2-3 months, I mean, they still go back to the same old ways where whoever is up there is the only person who can have whatever the biggest share of the carrot. So I mean, I like the how the other races do. Whenever, let's say, a family has got a business, I mean, they make sure that the everything that they've worked for stays within the family. Unlike us, you know, especially black people. When I have my business, I'll make sure not even my brother, not even my blood brother, I'll make sure most of the time, I'll make sure not even my wife gets it, because I feel like I'm so entitled to everything. That's the biggest challenge
But
that
there's
we
a
have.
reason why we have that mentality, Lennon. You don't grow up. We remember we are coming from different backgrounds.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm talking in general. That I'm not saying about
Mhm.
everyone. I'm talking in general. That is the biggest challenge that we're having. And also the other thing is, when all these things were happening, it's not about race or anything. It's about us. It's about the people that are leading us. They are not coming to party. They're not coming to say that. I mean, there is money. I mean, you look at this money that is being looted, which means the government has got money to be able, like what Queen was saying, to help everyone, or in terms of businesses, whatever business that we are doing. But the other challenge that we are also having in terms of the people that are coming from school, like what Queen was saying, a lot of graduates don't have jobs. We go to school with the mentality that we are going to get a job, you
Mhm.
know.
Not
But the
yet
mentality that we should have is we're going to school to create employment. Even
employment.
if the government give us funds to start with, or we don't have, we need to start from
Mm.
somewhere. I need
It's
to
a
start from somewhere.
system, though.
Yeah, that's
But it will always
No,
go back to
it's the
education.
education system. Our education
Mm.
system, the education system is designed
and
to
Make
produce
an employee.
slaves. It's
and we
not
need to
designed.
change
But
that.
it
It's
And,
creates
not. It's
discipline. It
not
yeah,
creates a
designed.
standard.
Yeah,
yes, and
it's
we
not
need to change
designed
that.
like that.
Yes,
It's not
we need to
designed
change that,
to what
because
you
at
are
the end of the
saying.
day, we need to change that. At the end of the day, I mean, for the past 30 years, I mean, South Africa has been out of apartheid for the past, I can say, 30 years, but
27 years.
27 years, yes. And
Right.
now that system, we're supposed to change it ourselves, because they're not going to change. They're not going to change it because it benefits them. You understand?
Yes,
Because the moment we
and there are
change
so
it,
many policies, guys, like Queen mentioned the grant system. Do you think is right for this economy, or is it killing us?
it's killing us. It's killing us because, I mean, at the end of the day, I know if I get out of employment, I'll go and I'll sign something, then I'll get the money, which is wrong,
Make
because
that decision.
that money was supposed to help someone. And you see, most of the people that are in this system, the grant system, most of them, they are able. They're able to work. They're
Exactly,
able
it's
to,
not like they're not
and
to
most of them,
provide for themselves.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, you
most of
would
them,
understand a disability grant, you would understand a disability in old age,
Guys,
not someone who just
yeah,
gave birth.
I
Just
think
for the sake
there
you are
we
getting a
go.
350.
Wait, Tandy, wait. There we go again. Yes, they are able, but is it there? They are able. Are they actively creating opportunities? Because the system is
Who?
designed like
Who?
this on purpose. Listen, when ANC came into power, this is my view. They
Mm,
created a system of nigamina. They created a society of
mm,
handouts on
mm.
purpose so that
Mm.
they can keep them in power. So
Yes,
Yeah.
already the system, we are fighting a system here that has been created deliberately to keep the
Why?
previously disadvantaged still
Exactly.
disadvantaged
You
so
see,
that they can continue to be slaves and they continue to vote them in power. And because right now we are fighting a system, it's a system.
exactly.
And it's and until we look at it from that angle, that right now we are fighting a system, because a system tells you you can only go. We can even talk of banks. If black people go to the bank and apply for home loans, if my profile, I am 38, I am black, I am earning 60,000, I'm gonna get 1 million rand for a bond. A white person is gonna go there, same profile, just different race. They're gonna get 10 million rand for a house. So right now we are fighting a system, and that system has been designed on purpose to keep the previously disadvantaged. So what can we do? We need to overthrow this whole system and start from scratch. And we
that's exactly where I was
put in
How?
going.
power
That's
the
exactly
Even
where I
if
was
people.
this
going.
No
government that we are
politicians.
voting into power,
Politicians,
Let
if
us
they
allow
must
Lennon.
go.
Let us allow Lennon to make his point, please.
That's exactly where I was going. That we need to be united and work together so that we can change this system. Because at the end of the day, we're crying about the system. Yes, we can cry for all we want for the as long as time we want. But what are we doing? What are we doing about it? we're just saying, okay, the system, they're not giving us this, they're not giving us that. Okay, let's do it as Black people, as Africans. Let's do it on our own. And then let the system do its own. Or we decide, there's two things. We decide to change the system, or we decide to do our own thing and leave the system on its own. We start from somewhere, because obviously we need to start from somewhere, because the moment we keep on waiting and crying and crying and crying, it's not going to change. It's not going to change anything. So we need to be united, not being separate from each other. We need to be united and say, guys, this is what the system is doing to us. Either we throw the system out, or we go on our own and do our own thing as Africans. That's the only way we're going to come out.
Stan wants to know how the 350 grants are killing people. While you're on it, Lennon, then we jump to Steph.
All right. So like what Queen said, it's they created this system where it says, "Nigga, mina, give it to me." Then when the 300, they know 350 rand is nothing. It's nothing. So they want you to come back again. Imagine when you're putting a bait. Let's say you are fishing, you throw something so that the fish can come, and you know that it's not enough. They will be expecting more. So if I give you 350 rand this month, in a day or two, that 350 rand is finished. You are waiting for the next month. So the moment you keep looking, you're watching your bank account to say, okay, now today is the 5th, tomorrow I'm getting my 350 rand. So that's how they keep us. That's how they're killing us. At the end of the day, I'm not thinking of anything else. You don't want, because the moment that system was created in a way that the moment you go into the system, into the SASA profile, and you go to work, they will see that, okay, this person is now working. Now they take it away. That's what us don't want. So we want to say, I'll stay at home. I'll wait for my 350 rand. And when it comes, then I'm happy for a day or two. Then I'm waiting again. I'm not doing anything. That's how it's killing us, Jen. That's exactly how they designed it, so that
it's also out of
we become greedy. Can I say, and I agree with Lennon, because it makes you dependent on it. So the government is giving it to you like, don't worry, here's money, but now it's gonna make me dependent on that money all the time, and I'm gonna sit comfortably at home and not bother to go out and look for a job. And when eventually I do get a job, I'm going to pretend, because let me tell you something also. We can say that there's no money, there's no this, there's no that, but we as people, we are also greedy, and we forgetting that there are people who need things more than we do, and we hold on to it. I mean, I went to varsity, and I'm not gonna name names, but I went to varsity, and I was privileged enough because I couldn't afford varsity, but I got a bursary, and someone else who needed it got it as well as another person. Now I knew that me and myself and the other person were unable to pay for our fees, and that's why we got the bursary. But there was a third person who was very much capable of paying for their fees, but pretended that they decided to use fake credentials, decided to use family member stories as their own so that they could get free. And it wasn't just one person, there was a bunch of people doing these things. Because a bunch of people in varsity would confess to this and say, oh no, I just pretended, oh no, I just lied and said this and said that. And it's unfair, because now we are complaining, saying, oh, the government's not doing enough, but then we are stealing from our neighbor, we are stealing from our sister, from our brother, someone who could actually really use that. We are sitting here lying because we just want more and more and more. So I'm gonna hold on to it, and I'm gonna take yours as well. And that's the problem we are also sitting with here. And I want to go back to what Lennon said earlier, is the fact that with poverty, and I call this the poverty mentality, and you can be in working class and you can still have that mentality. It's a mentality of, I need my stuff now and I need to have it because I don't know how long I'm gonna have this for. And this is why, as brown people, we don't know how to educate ourselves on how to generate a generational wealth. This is why white people can do this, Indian people can do this, because they know how to generate wealth that's going to go on within generations to come. But we as brown people, we are struggling with that because we have come from such bad poverty that we don't know where our next meal is going to come from. We don't know where the next check is going to come from. So even when I build a business, I want it for myself. It is mine and mine alone. And that's why we have people who are rich in families and their children are still struggling because they are not passing it on to them. They are not teaching them these things, because I feel like I've worked hard enough for this, so I have to hold on to it myself.
Yeah, so I agree.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Uh,
and also, and
and
unfortunately, wait, Tandy, just on the same point, we also must not forget what Steffi and Lennon have just spoken about. We must also not
Mhm.
forget that we come from a history, and unfortunately, a history of divide and conquer.
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
Yeah.
And if you think about the landscapes of South Africa, of how our fathers had to go work in the mines and leave our moms to raise kids on their own. That's part of divide and conquer rule. And unfortunately, that is being now passed on, even though we're no longer in apartheid, but now that is being passed on from generation to generation. If you look at single moms and how people are still just impregnating women and leaving them, it's because that's what they grew up seeing, right? And so now they keep on repeating the same thing, and that's why it's so hard to
Mm.
unite brown people to say, hey guys, let's do this. I mean, if you look at the rioters, when the president went up and spoke on Sunday and on Monday, he was talking about ethnic mobilization, and I also think that he kind of exacerbated the whole thing by further dividing people who already struggle with uniting. You understand what I'm saying? And so those are some of our problems that we have to be so intentional about working on them, uniting us, telling us, teaching it, because we need to be taught, because we were never
Mm.
taught. It's almost like when you have a child.
Queen, you are
If we are now almost done, you have a child does not do what you say, a child does what you do.
Mm.
you
That's
you
it.
are you are a natural born union leader. When I talk to you, Queen, I feel alive. I feel like I love talking to you. You know, sometimes when I'm down, I'm like, let me call Queen, and then she's just gonna hit me in the face, and I'm gonna be sober and okay. Okay, talking about, I know we are past our time, but it's fine. They're not gonna do anything to us. Talking about divide, we just wanna wrap up quickly. Talking about divide, Queen, there you mentioned the point of divide after, like, as a result of apartheid. But don't you think we had this division before the whites came here? Remember the issue of Chaka Zulu, remember the fights, remember the invasion of lands, remember the tribal wars that happened
Mhm.
before the whites came here.
Mhm.
So I'm assuming that maybe this division, it's a natural way of movement in people, no matter what color. That's my assumption, but totally agreeing to what you said. I know you want to hit me. And then the second point is we concluded that we are dealing with a system that we must get rid of. And it's not only a system, but a corrupt system. I heard there are so many dead people that are still receiving grants. So imagine if you are starting from that whole point that at the end of the day, it's us who are paying for these things. This is our taxes. We're still gonna have to pay for the KZN damages that happened. We're still gonna be affected at the end of the day. Your taxes are gonna be high, and it's gonna be you who's gonna be having a less net pay because of what happened in KZN. So just to wrap up, I just want us to have like the last parting words from one of you before we close off. I'll start with you, Lennon.
Okay, thank you so much, Tandy. In my parting shots, I would just want to say, I mean, as people, as black, brown people, we just need to be united. We just need to, if we want to air our voices, if we want to air our concerns, let's just come together in a not a violent manner where we destroy our people's properties. Let's just come together and air our views in a way that we know that none of us is going to suffer, as much as we know that we are already suffering, but let's not put ourselves deep into the suffering by destroying the
Yes.
things that we've worked
Putting
for a long
ourselves.
time. Yes, that by the things that we have worked for a long time. So let's just be one and speak with one voice. I mean, the one voice is what brought us where we are now. I mean, from apartheid up to now, we spoke with one voice, and I mean, it was heard. So why can't we do the same? So let's just do that, and I think we'll go far and we'll be a united nation. Thank you.
Mhm. I'll go next.
Thanks, Steffi.
Voting on Lennon's closing point, I would also say with unity, also let us empower each other. Let us learn to empower ourselves, and let us start teaching ourselves how to become self-sustainable, how to generate generational wealth for generations after us, so that the next person that I give birth to doesn't have to go through the same struggles that I have gone through. Let us educate ourselves on how to become business owners and entrepreneurs instead of slaves to the system.
Thank you, Steffi. Queen.
Anyways, thank you guys. This has been really a great conversation. And I do apologize if I may have gotten a bit emotional, comrade. I think
We don't
for me,
apologize here.
I think for me, I think sure, like these riots last week, really, for me, they were such an eye opener to
Yes.
what is really happening in this country. And I kind of feel like all along we've been kind of having this fake harmony, for a lack of a better word, because I'm not English. And this Rainbow Nation was kind of like, it kind of came up, it came up that the rainbow is actually, in some
Not there.
areas, it needs to be colored in properly, like blue is not
It
showing
doesn't have all the
nicely there.
colors. It's missing some colors.
And I think for me, the takeaway home, and to anyone who's in, I think it's important that we do empower ourselves and we do empower those people that are around us. But most importantly, it's important to have these conversations and to honestly have them. So without any without trying to sound politically correct, because I think we are here because we've been trying to be politically correct. We've been trying to, be right and to fit in, and let's be happy, and back at the ranch, we're not happy, and that's just the reality of things. We're not happy. And so we need these platforms more where we can have these honest discussions about our diversity, about the inclusion piece, about the respect, about how we can build each other, about how we can come together as communities, deliberately so, and begin to build each other. We need to speak about the education of our people, that we touched on. We need to talk about communities, the upskilling. We need to speak about sports in the Black. There's lots that needs to be done, so that we start to build a society that feels like they have value as well, that feel like they are part of something bigger, and so I think, and it's up to us to do that and to have those conversations. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that was great.
That was great. And you know what I love about South Africa is that we find humor in almost everything that we do. And we just find a way to laugh about it. I mean, we had the 10 babies just recently. We had Spider-Man just recently. Now we are dealing with this. And, just to add on the humor part of it, I heard that we were told that we are a rainbow nation, but have you noticed that there's no black in the rainbow color? So it's something that you can
Adding
ponder
that
on.
now.
That is that is it from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. Catch us again next week here on Baobab Chats, where we'll be giving you another interesting topic that is trending for the week. So that is it from me, Tandiwe. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.